when I first went up the Rogue River in the fall of 1936, that was my last year in the Coast League. My contract was bought by the Red Sox, and I had the opportunity to go up the Rogue River fishing, and the people I went up with, the couple I went up with, I remember every once in a while, you catch those steelhead, they were something like, anywhere from 13, 14 up to 15, 16 inches. You catch them with a fly, and you'd fillet them out, and they would fry those fillets out with hotcakes, and they called that the Rogue River breakfast. So after that, anytime, up till now, if anybody comes to see me, I said, well, we'll have a Rogue River breakfast. So I make up hotcakes, and if you're lucky enough to catch a couple of steelhead trout, why, fillet them out, and people get a big kick out of it. Make up a Rogue River breakfast this morning. It's hotcakes and half-pound steelhead. This is what we had when Ted was out fishing with me, and he got a big kick out. I thought it was pretty good, and so I'm going to fix that this morning. This kind of pretty much of a pink meat. It's coming right out of the ocean, and it's has a little more of a red meat to it. Fillets now that we'll fix up. It's like Ted says, every day you fish, it adds a day to your life, and I honestly believe maybe it does. You don't have any worries when you're out fishing.
Who is Bobby Doerr, the silent captain? What was his contribution to the Red Sox and baseball in general? Why does he still continue to give of himself to help others? Here's his story. Robert Pershing Doerr, also known as Bobby, was born on April 7, 1918 in Los Angeles, California. The son of a telephone company supervisor, Harold and Frances Doerr, Robert Pershing Doerr was named after the AEF general. There's never been anything wrong with big league baseball that a bunch of kids like Bobby Doerr couldn't handle. A hustling, clean-living athlete, always dead serious about his ball playing. Hollywood literally robbed the cradle when the career of Robert Pershing Doerr, Red Sox second baseman, was launched in 1934. Bobby was just a few months over 14 when he finished playing spring season with the John C. Fremont High School team in Los Angeles and reported to Oscar Vita's Hollywood Baseball Club. Bobby was the youngest boy ever to play regularly in the Coast League when Vitt assigned him to second base in the latter half of 1934. Go in and play just as naturally as you did in high school or American Legion ball, Vitt told him. Senior brother Harold also contributed useful suggestions. Shortly thereafter, his move was vindicated. Without Doerr at Midway Station for the first half of the season, Hollywood finished 5th. But with Bobby at the Keystone Bag in the second half of the season, the Stars advanced to second place. Bob was personally scouted by Eddie Collins, vice president of the Boston Club, who watched the youngster play for 2 weeks before returning east with conviction that the Red Sox had bagged a coming star.
Eddie Collins called me and said, get together with Ted Williams and make sure that you travel by train and that you got to Sarasota, Florida for spring training. I'd been there the year before. And just a day before we're supposed to leave, a big flood hit Southern California, and the train tracks were washed out and that. So Ted had the foresight enough to get a ham operator to call up to Los Angeles. All the lines were down, so the ham operator called me then out of LA and said, that, what are we going to do? How are we going to get together? And so it turned out to be that I sent a word back and said, Ted, you go the best way you can, and I'll go the best way I can. So we had to go down to the railroad depot and take a bus from L.A. out to Indio, California, out near Palm Springs, California, to get the train. That's as far as you could get in. And Ted, he got on a train evidently down in San Diego and got on there. From there on, we went on to spring training together. The next morning, we go over to the clubhouse, and Joe Cronin's standing right close to the doors when we went in. And I said, Joe, I'd like to have you meet Ted Williams. And Joe said, hi, Ted, we're sure glad to have you with us. And Ted ended up saying, hi, sport. And, of course, that was his, he didn't mean anything derogatory, but that was what come out right at the time, knowing Ted. And I think afterwards, that got a quick ticket over to Daytona Beach. And, of course, everybody knows from then on, Minneapolis, when he went to Minneapolis, what a great year he had there.
Bobby Doerr trotted onto the field, took his position at second base, and he knew he was in the big leagues. He could tell, because Jimmy Fox was to his left, Joe Cronin and Jim Tabor to his right, and Doc Kramer out there in center field. Over the mound, Lefty Grove was warming up easily with catcher Rick Farrell. It was March 1937 at dear old Payne Park in Sarasota, Florida, and the Boston Red Sox were testing this 19-year-old kid from Los Angeles. After all, he had knocked Pacific Coast League pitchers around for 238 hits the year before, so they figured he was worth a look. That first big league training camp proved to be an awesome experience for Bobby Doerr. He had to get used to it. He had to try to relax and accept the fact that maybe he could hit in the same lineup with people like Fox, Cronin, Tabor, and Kramer. He had to get used to turning the double play and having a peerless pitcher like Lefty Grove tell him, "Nice work, kid." Being a self-effacing type fresh up from the farm, Robert Pershing Doerr could not grasp, at age 19, just how much the Red Sox needed him.
I was just 19 when I was with the Red Sox that year in 37. And I look back and I'd always had a big, high, and it's something going from the minor leagues to the major leagues. And I really kind of, I think I put more pressure on myself because of that. And I didn't do quite as good as I should have in 1937 because of the feeling that I wasn't quite good enough maybe to be playing that type of baseball. But what happened was we opened in Philadelphia for the opening of the season, and I had a pretty good series, I think, that year. And then we went right to New York. Well, gosh, when we went to New York, seeing the Yankee Stadium, never seen a ballpark like that before. And here's Lou Gehrig, and here's Joe DiMaggio, and here's Crosetti, and Red Rolfe, and Lefty Gomez, all these great, Bill Dickey, great ball player. And in the big stadium, you felt like a little ant standing out at second base. And I think the pitchers was Gomez, Bump Hadley, and I can't think of the other pitcher right now, real good curveball pitcher. After I got through with that series, I thought, boy, I better, like the old saying, Mom, get the hotcakes ready, I'll be home soon.
After being the sensation of the 1937 Red Sox training camp, Doerr started the season as second baseman and leadoff man for Cronin's team. His fielding was all the critics said it was. "I've got a kid from the coast who can do anything around second base anybody ever saw. He's a natural," enthusiastically commented Red Sox pilot and fellow Californian Joe Cronin. A straightaway hitter upon joining the Red Sox, Bobby Doerr was converted to a pull hitter by the Boston Brass to take advantage of the Fenway Park wall. The new stroke paid dividends at Fenway, where Doerr compiled a .315 career batting average with 145 home runs and 3,554 at-bats. In 13 full seasons, Doerr hit below .300 only 3 times in Boston, with one of those being .299. Doerr batted .288 during his career with 2,042 hits, 381 doubles, 89 triples, 223 home runs, 1,094 runs scored, and 1,247 RBIs. In his lone World Series in 1946, Doerr batted .409 with 9 hits and 22 at-bats against the St. Louis Cardinals. Doerr twice made the only hits off Bob Feller in one-hit games. The Sporting News named him the American League's most valuable player in 1944, while Boston fans voted him the all-time Red Sox second baseman in 1969. Babe Ruth said, "Bobby Doerr, and not Williams, is the #1 man in the Red Sox in my book. There's a fella few people have heard about, yet he's hitting almost as high as Williams, has driven in only 2 less runs, and plays a lot of second base day in and day out. He rates the Most Valuable Player award in the American League. In 1986, the Veterans Committee elected Bobby Doerr to the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Doerr.
It's Robert Pershing Doerr, Boston American League, 1937 to 1951. Quiet leader of Red Sox during the 1940s. Consistent second baseman, top double play man, and fine clutch hitter. Lifetime batting average of .288 with 6 seasons over 100 RBIs. Held AL record for second baseman by handling 414 consecutive chances without an error. Led American League second baseman in double plays 5 times, putouts 4 times, and assists on 3 occasions. Batted .409 in the 1946 World Series. I think that sums it up very nicely.